Welcome into another exciting clash here in the SRL. This is round 8. We are officially making the turn into the second half of the season as the Warriors will be taking on the Manly Warringah-Sea Eagles. Luca said, Luke Short with you. The Luca and Luke connection is finally united for what has been a usual trip across the pond here for Manly that should be a very exciting clash.
Yeah, you're right there, Luke. The Warriors and the Manly Sea Eagles both coming off losses last week. A surprising one from the Warriors, you got to say. But back here at home at Mount Start Stadium, we should expect a fiery outcome from the Warriors.
Well, they did actually beat the Tigers, Manly, so they're the ones with the momentum right now. But they are having to go into what is always a very pumped up Mount Smart Stadium, and while there is still a fair bit of a traveling contingent here, you have to say it's a very tough place to go out and win it. We get ourselves underway here. Aaron Hunter with the left boot gets us started. And it'll be Jackson Kearney who will elect to take the first hit up of this one. Bit of an odd one here to see him running out so early, of course. Those halves need to be connecting up well here alongside 5'8" Aaron White as Sheridan Oos there taking another first round. But using the backs pretty early on here, but they set it up now with NBT. The winger in SRL 1 now taking the run up here in 2. Gataya there into the acting half roll. Only again taking a second run here and attracting a trio of Manly defenders. These basic set here from them early on as Irwin Jr. takes a run and gets some decent post-contact meters, but not going to get very far as a quick early set here will result in Kearney trying for that 40-20. That's towards the wing of Brad Goodwin. Of course, playing alongside, I believe, wife Beck Goodwin. See how those connect up if Manly can send things down the left edge. Bailey Wilson into acting half for them as Jordan Lewis, the captain, gets his run to start their set off. It seems like Manly more content to run through the middle here thus far. More to the edges, at least on that right side from where they started. Have a look to Cody Yogg. He gets some decent meterage. Gets past halfway before his brought to ground. Hunter flicks one out long for Kennard Wall. The kicking option's been taken out here though as he takes the run. Now they'll probably need to look for a quick punt here. It'll be Prakash who uses the left foot. And this one should be easily fielded here by Cambolo and forced back early on. Good kick defense here from Manly and pretty easy starts of the game so far.
Yeah, both teams making about roughly 40 meters each in their opening sets. But yeah, once they settle into this game, we'll have to see which team can get the upper hand.
Evers Tyver tries the scoot, gets nowhere. Chris Lord now, he'll take his, I believe, second run as he did get a run earlier run in that first set, but not getting too much out of that. White will look for Saltner, and he gets a good chance to attack there against Aaron Hunter. He ends up being held down for a fair while, but it also took a while for the referee to call last tackle, so give him a fair bit of leniency here. Here's White with the kick. This time towards the wing of Square Jr. He's going to take an easy grab, but Cambolo's there to force him back alongside Johnny Columbus. Both who have worked in tandem for quite some time, and they get a chance to do so again here in a new outfit and a new iteration. Wilson to Bennett. Bennett will just have to try and take on the line here against, I believe that's MBT involved in the tackle once more. There's Beck Goodwin, but Beck is forced back in that challenge. They might look for a 40-20 here given a lack of meters, but the pass is pretty shallow there for Prakash. As a result, he wasn't really in position to take a kick from that lock forward spot. Manly going nowhere in this one. Morris unable to be activated. We'll force a long kick from Kennard Wall. Get some decent yardage, but a lot of space for Tuiaki here, but he's not going to outkick for coverage this time around. Tackle back there at the 30. Iron now for Sheridan Oos once more, but Oos forced back. Not going to get very much in this middle part of the ground here. Seeing quick flick out for Irwin. Not going to get much here either. Stout defense so far here from both sides. Tyver with a scoot, but good work from the line of defense. He made his way past those markers. Moana goes into acting half. Kearney flicks in for Lord. Lord won't get too far here either, though. He's tackled right on the 40. How do they look for in terms of their options? Another slow play the ball here on the last. Kearney will just look for a left foot towards the wing of Square. Square makes one man miss, but is going right into the forward pack, and a minor assist in there as well. Wilson, though, notices no fullback, tries to get away as soon as he can, but he doesn't end up breaking through the line on that occasion. Hunter now for Lewis. They elect to just attack the center of the park again. It's past the 40 once more on the third. Is Bennett. He takes on NBT. Not going to get a fair chunk of change there, but not going to get much on that occasion. Well, a fair amount there as he gets up to halfway. Kennard Wall now in for Strange. He tries to make a cut in field, but that's quickly shut down there by Kearney. Again, they're going to have to kick, but this time at least from inside Warriors territory. Eye hang time there for Cambolo, and he got a little bit obstructed there, and now an opportunity for Manly to perhaps pin them deep, given that the defense has been stout so far.
Yeah, both teams very strong in defence. Both teams not really getting any real good meters here. Not a lot of field position, but, you know, the first team to crack will probably be the first team to give up points here too.
Yeah, we're starting to see a little bit of chips, but no real cracks so far, as Saltner again takes on Hunter. Tyre again looks for a scoot there, but a hesitation, and there's not going to be much there either. Let's at least get past halfway, at least for the moment. Columbus in a acting half sends his ball deep for White. He kicks pretty much straight down the ground. Square takes it 15 out. Gets a little bit of breathing space to work with in terms of his running, but is quickly put down there by Columbus. White pretty much only there for moral support. There's Morrison, though, with a step, and now he gets a little bit free. He fends off one, gets through another ankle tap, offloads out to Bennett, then loses it on the hit. I think that was NBT that laid it, and as a result, they end up with a ball that was NBT, who ends up trying that ball loose from Jesse Bennett after a great run from Morrison, and now the Warriors with an opportunity after they just get a little bit of a breakaway. Suddenly, it turns right back in their favour. Moana on the third. He looks out to Lord, and finally we get to see a bit of a red zone threat. They're not quite there yet, though. But they are at least in attacking kick territory. Kearney looks long there for Sheridan Oos, who's forced back of a tackle there. I believe that's Beck Goodwin involved. Wingers retreat here to try and be ready for a kick into the end goal. It's Kearney. Kearney with a grubber kick. Great work by Hunter coming across there. Ends up taking that one away, and now, after a first attacking threat, looked like it was Manly. It was Denver Warriors that got to take it on.
Yeah, we've seen the first sort of attacking footy in this game, and the Warriors, they've put in a really good grubber kick, but Hunter, he was all over that ball. He knew exactly what was up.
Yep, it was a very long run that he had to make as well, but it was great coverage. Just had eyes for it immediately. Wasn't really concerned about the defensive line on the last, though, but I mean, if there's going to be no one there, and, well, the play probably falls apart for Manly, and then they end up conceding points. So some good heroes work there as Wilson there tries to make a little bit of a run on the last. Won't do very much, though. Well, into the last, rather. As that kick looking for the 40-20, but Tuiaki there to cover it off. He'll get about 20 meters on his kick chase before he's brought down 15 shy of halfway. Kearney looking for a little run in field. A long tackle there as well, down for the second. Short play there for Lord, but pretty much running right into the markers, and as a result, not going to get very far. Tackle just shy of halfway now. Team's clean so far through these first 15 minutes, as is the score sheet. Kearney trying to process his way through, but a couple of defenders there again. Wilson making that tackle. Now for Saltner. Saltner this time getting a bit more of a matchup his size, but again, not getting into any spot that can really threaten Manly's defense. Kearney now will just look to kick to the corner. Picks out Brad Goodwin. Goodwin with a sidestep, and he's going to be put down about 15 out from his own line. Manly will try and just work it back in field again. A little bit of a jink there. Ends up getting it to Lewis after a bit of a step from Beck Goodwin. Did get through the line there, but just elected, don't take the hit. Let the forwards do that work. Morrison again looking to try and inject some life into this game. Is tackled about 35, about 50 now from halfway, like Kearney was, pretty much in that same spot in the same set. So the game firmly stuck in neutral right now. They might look for a 40-20 attempt here with Kennard Wall. He's got a fair bit of kicking on this one. It takes one bounce. They're not even going to bother. A great 40-20 here from Kennard Wall, and suddenly the game flips with an opportunity for Manly to put up first points. They look for Logan Strange to take the first run on this set. was right in the middle of the park. Count still reads tackle 0. Not certain if that should be the case. Yeah, they gave him at 7 tackles set here off of that 40-20. Aaron Hunter now, he'll try and make his run through. He's only got one man going after him and he's got it down. Fort Saltner had him. He could not bring him to ground before Hunter's legs just proved too strong for him.
Hunter doing some really good work in this game so far. That kick defusal before, the grubber kick through, and now a try. He's definitely putting Manly on his back and saying, let's go, boys.
Yeah, that's been really good work from the halves there. Kennard Wall setting up that 40-20 kick as well to give them that fresh set, 15 out from the line, and they make the most of the field position, and finally we get some points. It's felt so often that, we end up in these shootouts, but it seems like defense have gotten a lot more stout of recent, Luke.
Yeah, it was early in the season, fatigue was a big major factor, so you saw a lot of more point scoring. But now, as the season's getting on, as you said, we're halfway through the season, a lot more match fitness in these games, and the defensive work's coming to light.
Yeah, and perhaps that's just, with the evolution of the game, we're seeing players just get fitter as the season goes on. Of course, a new season, we're seeing priorities being into, pacemaking and, strength within the tackles. But now that we're starting to see, the game start to evolve a lot more, I think we're seeing the importance of conditioning and how important it is to, be able to play for a full 80 minutes if called upon, as 2 scoots in a row there from Wilson and then Goodwin, and that is pretty easily tackled there. Hunter now is looking for a 40-20, but it looks more like an attacking kick, and it's gone in a touch. Did that? I want to double check this, so this might be out of a fall here. Yeah,
it looks very close. He put the boot up, and I think he's just come off the side of the boot, and it's just gone out. I think, definitely on the full by the looks of that.
Yeah, and as a result, that'll mean the Warriors got to play the ball inside Manly's 30. A crucial mistake there, but now the defense really trying to aim up here. Saltner pretty much getting negative meters of that occasion. Singh comes in field to try and affect the tackle here. Forces a little bit of a come up here from the fullback there in Morrison. Utaya then takes a scoot. He's tackled on the 3rd. Looks like we've got some fresh legs out there as well. There's Moana there. Now he tries to center it up, but we've got 2 more plays here to try and capitalize. Tire flicks went out for Saltner. They haven't looked to Buckingham or to Walsh so far. Saltner will get down to about 3 shy on the last. So look to Aaron White. White puts in the kick. It's fielded by Lewis. Was it knocked on? It was not. I think it did come off a body though, so now they do have to be careful of perhaps throwing a pass into the post and having New Zealand capitalize, but that time thankfully they escaped with one. I've seen that a couple times and won, but it seems like they've been able to learn from their previous mistakes, as here is Charlie Matthews now getting his stint on the field. He'll be on there alongside Felix Windmill-Skeed, and talking to them, it did seem like the plan has been for Windmill-Skeed to only play these 20 minutes, but we'll probably see a fair bit of Matthews in the second half as he tries to push forward. He only gets to about the 30 before he's brought down. Kennard Wall will just look for a distance kick, but Cambolo's right there for it, pretty much covering off on the wing from where Moana was likely meant to be. Cambolo returns it to just shy of halfway. Tire a scoot again, but seems like Manly have just placed a little central defender in there, which I think right now is Prakash, just to make sure that those scoots get quelled. And they go again with Cambolo, but that time tackled at marker. Look for Kearney, then an inside ball there for Moana. Moana forced back of that tackle by Wilson, though. Laid there, and now Kearney looks for Oos, and across to Tuiaki. As much as that looked like it could have been perhaps an attacking threat, I think they're just going to look to a punt on this one. Go to Chris Lord. Lord puts up the ball, and it's taken just in the field of play by Jacob Morrison, and he gets a good chunk of meters, but is not going to get out of his own red zone so far. So still field position, currently sitting with the Warriors, especially given how tough it is that this defense has been. I'm trying not to use the word stout again because I think I've used that one 4 times. I was drinking last night, that's probably why. Kennard Wall looks inside for Prakash. He goes to try and make a good run here, and finally gets past the 40. They might look for the kick here. They definitely changed their shape here to allow for it, but I think we've given them a little bit too much time, and Kennard Wall's kick is sloppy. under too much pressure there on Moana now, with a chance for the Warriors to potentially tie it. They'll look to Saltner. Try and push on here in this set. Gets about two-thirds away of the field, but a miscommunication there. It's off of the hands of Buckingham, and as a result, a 7-tackle set. As soon as it seems like every team gets their first real attacking opportunity, it just seems like they're being let off the hook.
Yeah, an error from the Warriors that they definitely didn't need. They might be down on the scoreboard here, but it's not by much. But if they can't complete the sets, it could get a lot worse.
Yeah, they need to try and get to that last tackle there. Wilson with a very dangerous scoot there, being so far in field, but he took it on and perhaps just got away with it a little bit. James Reese will do the same. Again, they're just so close to the sideline, we can almost see them coming through our screen if they try and run towards us, but either way, only not quite able to take advantage of the knock-on of the 7-tackle set that resulted. So Wimble Skeed will play the ball, and a kick from Hunter will go to the wing of Tuiaki, and he'll just be able to clear it out of the red zone. Clicked out here for Walsh. Trying to get a little bit of his involvement. As apologies there, I just needed to receive a quick message from production. We're back online here. Moana now out for Tuiaki. His play just on halfway, or just shy of it rather, as Tyre there finally getting some decent meters out of that scoot, but it's not really going to put them in any real attacking threat here. Lord again with the boot. Morrison and Goodwin both decide who wants it. Morrison just says, I'll back you up. And Brad Goodwin will field the kick. That one's taken out to 15 out from their own line. Morrison now, oh, great force back of a tackle there, I believe, from Walsh. Trying to make up for that error that cost them a potential attacking opportunity. It was not Walsh that made the tackle. I think it was Buckingham, because that's ended up in the hand of Nathan Walsh. If those two people are not the same, also with new players, it's a bit hard to recognize some of these, and a huge tackle there results in an error. I'm not sure if it was a terrible tackle, perhaps just off hands, as now the Warriors threatening for goal line stand here, but already on the third. It's Moana to play it. They go short side here with Singh and then Sheridan Ooze. There's going to be a couple plays involved here. They're going to upturn him. And they're going to say his... Oh, no, they're just going to make him take it back to the mark. I was worried they were going to make him take it back all the way 10 out, but instead it's going to be Kearney who is brought down on the last. And I think has been held up there. Of course, going to have to double check every single bit of, oh, did he get it down or did he not get it down? Thanks to new instructions, and as a result, yep, we've double checked that one. Of course, we were all excited about it when the first round happened, but now it's become a bit more of a standard practice. White there now for Bomb. The Bomb is a bit too deep there, and Morrison able to quash the threat, and now 6-0 it remains, as that was probably the Warriors' best chance so far, and they weren't able to capitalize again.
No, it was a very good kick too from the Warriors. It's just a little bit too deep, and Jacob Morrison just outjumps all the Warriors' chasers there.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you're just looking to make that threat right on the line, but once they know, like, oh, I'm just going to go for the mark, it should be no trouble for most of them. Of course, we've seen before where a player is going for that mark, he gets out jumped. I mean, I can remember a few match winners as a result of that. Kennard Wall now plays it just past the 40. I think if they get held up here, they might go for another 40-20 attempt. Windmill Skeet an offload. Hunter there now taking another run, but it's taken the kicker out, so they're probably not going to look for a 40-20 here. They're just going to look to make a run here. It's Og. Og's trying to take on NBT. That's not NBT, rather. That's Tyre. I think I've been confusing those two for a little while. NBT's off the field, being placed by Buckingham. Hunter again, a very shocking kick. Cambola gets to sprint onto it, but he runs right into a pair of defenders. I think ran into Hunter and Wilson. That ends up shutting them down. Now Chris Lord. Chris Lord breaks through a tackle. We've seen that so often. It's called Morrison into action here. One of the few times he's had to really come up and get involved in defense. Instead of being brought down there, now Walsh will try and carry it past halfway. Eventually does. Brought down solo by Wilson. Tyre looks for yet another scoot, but it's pretty much tackled right where Walsh was. Where can they look now? Moana, he just stays there and scoots again. And again, Wilson is there to stop the threat. They go scoot, scoot, scoot. I'm not certain whether that's the correct way to segue yourself into an attacking kick. Kearney ends up just bombing it down towards Goodwin. And with less than 5 minutes to go in this half, Luke, it's really just been a first gear kind of game.
Yeah, both teams haven't really done a lot. Manly obviously to have the lead, but both teams very, very sloppy when it comes to sort of any attacking.
Yeah, there's been no real involvement so far on what they should be trying to do here. As it was only the 40-20 kick that allowed them that great field position. But now they might have to look for a 20-40 here with Hunter, and it's pretty decent, but Moana does very well. But he's clearly needed to catch his breath here, who was absolutely full pelt to get to that one. And at least he had a bit of time to, make sure that he recovered that brief burst of energy, because that could have been very bad if he ended up gassed and just lost it. Kept his focus there. But now, thanks to that strong defensive set from the Warriors, they now get an opportunity to perhaps put those points back on the board again. With less than 3 minutes to go, just before they get their freshest legs on. Moana now out for Tuiaki. Tuiaki makes Beck miss, but Brad there to make the tackle. Just shy of a 10. Ball gets up on the ground. I think it was a miscommunication. They were looking to try and get someone to run onto that, but it ended up being Buckingham who just had to pick up the crumbs. Tyre then elects to scoot. He's going to take on Wilson. It's going to get nowhere. They went for the scoot again, and for how many times it hasn't really worked, it doesn't work again.
Yeah, it's definitely not the option. That scoot out of dummy half is definitely not working for them. They might need to think about something else, because they are down on the scoreboard, and if they keep scooting, it's not going to change.
Yep, if they just keep running out of acting half, maybe they'll find something. But thus far, it's just been, essentially stuck where they've been. Kennard Wall now for Wilson. Hunter. They kept Lewis and Bennett back on here, but they're not looking to make some final runs before the half ends. Will be Manly's last set, quite likely. Prakash, they do look to Bennett now. Bennett right along the black dots of the post. It's not going to give him very much time here to try and make a stand here. And the Warriors potentially tied up on this Cambolo kick chase. It's the only thing that really gives them hope, given how strong Manly's line have been, but is brought down 7 shy of halfway. But they do need to quickly make their changes as well. I think they have been able to do that, as White will try and stand for as long as he can before his brought to ground, and we go to the half. Manly leading 6-0. And welcome back here to a second half of action here at Go Media Stadium in Auckland. Lucas said, Luke Short with you on what has been a defensive barn burner. Only 6-0 right now, as Manly have been really the team in front on scoreboard, but on paper, it hasn't really felt that way, Luke.
No, on paper, the Warriors, they have been the better team. They just haven't been able to ask the opportunities that have been presented to them.
Yeah, while they have had a couple of opportunities in the red zone, it was Manly that took advantage of a 40-20. It's been the halves, really, that have been the difference makers, with Aaron Hunter and Nathan Kennard Wall against Aaron White and Jackson Kearney. Of course, Kennard Wall with a 40-20. Aaron Hunter, the only points of the match. Whereas, the forwards, someone's going to make like an SCP and breach containment here, because it has been absolute lockdown so far. As Hunter there with the kick. Moana fields onto it, and just as I say how good it's been being the one to only score points, he ends up putting an absolute shock of a kick. And that's something that I did notice. It doesn't seem like Manly's kicks have really been going as well as they should be.
It's surprising considering that they did kick the 40-20, but since then they've almost shanked every other kick. I don't know if it's just the conditions on the ground, or...
Yeah, it might just be, honestly, just internal pressure, being just like, oh yeah, I don't really need to focus on this, and losing their fundamentals. As Cambolo there, nearly able to crash over, in fact, thanks to that missed opportunity. Slow play the ball again here on the last square, just able to bring him down there. Tyre short ball there for White. White the grubber kick. Lewis just fields it on the edge, just escapes. Diving, I believe that was Aaron White there as well, going after his own kick, and ends up just barely being tackled outside of his own in goal, and they're just able to escape. But they are going to be pinned down here, given that no one has really been able to make a bloody run, because the run meters leader right now is Aaron Hunter. that doesn't feel right. It's just on principle. No one has really been able to get through here, and as a result, they've now got to try and make something of this. Stuart Sasser there trying to do something. Again, though, the dummy half scoots have just not been working out for the Warriors. Morrison, what? It's the last tackle. What is Morrison doing? Why are they just giving the ball back at their own 30? What is going on here? White there,
it's a head scratcher for sure there. Morrison definitely probably he should have known that was the last.
Did he just forget the count? Did he not hear the official? I'm lost for words here, honestly. I've never seen something like that, especially given that field position. Jackson Kearney now with an opportunity to even things up after they had been considered a better team. Now they got an opportunity to really make that happen. Moana, the offload finds NBT. They're going to look upstairs for this one, but I think they should be clear. NBT has got themselves a try.
Yeah, that is a beautiful upload, and I dare say we will see green lights here. Just the defenders, they just shut Moana down, but they couldn't wrap up the ball.
Yeah, I think there might be a bit of an appeal, though, as well, because I think they went upstairs because they wanted to see if it was a knock-on, but it was a pass. And they can't technically rule on a pass because, you know, reasons.
Yeah, we've seen that try can be awarded there, but now you've got to really think, what was Morrison thinking?
Yeah, but like that, like at least before it seemed like it was just a genuine bit of good play from Manly, but now it's just been mistake after mistake on the last, and it meant Manly just been generally forced back. It's probably why we were thinking, oh, you know, well, Warriors have looked the better side. It's because, you know, there was these mistakes, and Manly, they were just, you know, they're kind of getting mined away there, and eventually something had to give, and that's just an all-time collapse from Morrison. Moana will field this kickoff, and now the game finally evened up. The Warriors on the board after 46 minutes, and funnily enough, both of the try scorers are also both the goal kickers. So it has been Moana and Hunter who have been the only ones to contribute on the score sheet. Tire now over there for Aaron White. Warriors finally looking like they're building some momentum here. We get to pass the 40 before he's brought down. NBT there, who has contributed quite well so far, forced a couple of errors, and of course, well, sorry, it was NBT that scored rather. It was the try assist for Moana. I'm losing my mind here. Kearney now for 40-20 attempt. Well fielded there by Morrison, making up a little bit for his mistake, and he's got to try and make sure he keeps himself in field under a fair bit of pressure there from, I believe that's Sevu Singh out there on the wing. Now Goodwin gets forced back. That's Brad Goodwin, of course. Here goes Kennard Wall once again. He's going to try and take on Singh once more. Sasser now. He looks for a bit of a scoot. Ends up making a couple of a miss. And finally getting a little bit of a breakaway here. And it's a good tackle to run on as well, because it means he can still go into acting half again for the last. Beck Goodwin now. Looks for Jacob Morrison. Morrison held back, though. Tackled inside the Warriors 40, but they're not going to really be in a position to make an attacking kick. Defense is going to be solid here once more. Kennard Wall looks to pick out Cambolo and ends up doing so, but Cambolo gets plenty of breathing space, but is very close to that sideline. Can they force him over? Not quite. Regain his feet back inside the 40. And now the Warriors getting some good field position after that kick return, and Sheridan Oose getting another good chunk of meters following that. NBT now looking to try and force his way forward. Going to be tackled 8 past halfway. Aaron White now for Chris Lord. Lord takes a great run up. Just looks to try and get about 5 meters before his brought down. Kearney looks for Sevu Singh. They swarm after him. Morrison even came up there as well, but finally a meter gain that seems, you know, reasonable to have, even though given how far back they were, it wasn't really that much because they still had to punt it anyway. Marcus Square Jr. will take it out of his own red zone. Look to work in field again through Hunter. And we mentioned first half leader in run meters, only try scorer of the first half, only point scorer of the first half. Here's Matthews again. He tries to make a run, but it's going to be tackled 15 shy. Hunter there, little offload there. Morrison gets through now. He tries to get an arm free to clear Moana, but it's his ball carrying arm that he got hit on. And as a result, his tackle there on the 4th. Matthews now. I thought that was going to be the loss. It was not. And now Matthews will just try and take a simple carry here against Chris Lord. They're not going to be in a position to really make an attacking threat again, though. And Kennard Wall will put up a high hang time kick there for Michael Moana. He's going to be driven back of a tackle here by Beck Goodwin, though. And now a real chance to try and pin them down here. Can Manly end up working this one back?
Second tackle.
Moana again makes one miss. I think it was Beck Goodwin that just went after it and couldn't lay a hit on there. Sevu Singh is going to work away against Sasa. He's brought down 7 shy, well, really more 5 shy of a 40, but either way, go for again for the tire scoot. Cadence George Slattery goes into acting half. Chris Lord there, a high booming kick taken there by Brad Goodwin. Goodwin gets a lot of breathing space here and is nearly through, but last line of defense there, and Kearney ends up bringing him down. Kennard Wall will look for Lewis, and now they try and get the captain to make a run of his own. Back on right on halfway near our logo. Morrison spills it. He gets absolutely leveled. And again, a Morrison mistake has meant that they end up off the hook again. I think that's been free so far, but he's given up. It's been an absolute shocker for him.
Yeah, he's definitely not got the good IQ at the moment. I don't know, does he need to be checked for a concussion? But the Warriors, they're on the attack here.
Yeah, they've finally signed him out a comeback here as well. Sheridan Oos now. It's going to end up giving them finally a little bit of a threat here. Do they look for a grubber again? It's been the primary option for Aaron White, and it seems like that's what he goes for again, and it ends up being hit. Well, he ends up being hit before he can get a kick away. NBT there to make sure it doesn't get out of hand, and end up just not making the most of it on the score sheet, but at the very least, they haven't given up too bad of a field position and a potential run back. And they've been able to contain Manly pretty well on this set, at least so far. Prakash will push them past the Manly 30. That's now out for Hunter. He sends out a long ball there for Morrison, and they finally get him to try and make up for his mistake. He tries to make a run to the corner there, but Moana's going to shut it down, but he isn't at least in the Warriors territory. Here's Beck Goodwin. Goodwin quickly wrapped up, though. A strong tackle there from Kearney. Really elevated his game so far, at least defensively. Way back there for Kennard Wall. It's a simple take there for Michael Moana. He's going to be forced back there by Morrison. Morrison tackled about a quarter of the way up the field. They look to Damien now to try and make a run. He's going to get about 10 meters before he's brought to ground. Nyataya now out for Irwin Jr., then NBT. NBT going to be just past the 40 there. And now looks for Chris Law, trying to work through this pack here. Trying to perhaps fatigue Manly because it was Manly's pack that was working well. And Junior Tyre cops one. Not sure who we copped it from there. I couldn't quite get a read on whoops it was, but now giving a little bit of momentum back into Manly's attack here. Where Junior will end up just playing it. Not getting too much out of his kick return. You'll have to apologize. This has been a rather dreary game, and my focus has been kind of stuck elsewhere. Prakash on the 3rd. He's going to try and just let Stewart make the run here. Al Stewart, of course, former captain as well. So he's got all the knowledge of what needs to be done to try and make a stand. As Manly will make the last set of interchanges here. Looking to bring on, I believe, James Reese. I believe Bailey Wilson, but we'll have to wait and see there. There's a kick down towards Moana. Breaks through a half tackle there, but ends up being brought down there by Brad Goodwin. Penny now for Singh. A risky ball there for Sheridan Oos in the center of the park. Nearly ended up being intercepted there by Wilson, but ends up just being able to recover that one. Now Sevu Singh, who ends up taking a bit of a run outside of his regular position. Junior Tyre there. He'll look for another scoop, but I think he ended up getting negative meters on that occasion. Moana will fire out for Kearney. Kearney will take the run himself. 40-20 option is available, but Square and Brad Goodwin should be reasonably able to cover it off. We'll look for Lord to make the kick, and it's a strong one. Ends up just entering the red zone of Manly and Brad Goodwin. Oh, he ate a shot there. I believe that was from Jalen Saltner, who's come back onto the field and has re-injected a little bit of life into this one. James Reese now, he's gone into the prop forward role. He's going to get it past the 30 before he's brought to ground. Now Hal Stewart was the man that came on to replace James Reese. There's going to end up being tackled just shy of a 40. Kennard Wall with a difficult take there. It ended up nearly behind him. It's just brought it about 5 shy of halfway. Here's James Reese. He tries to sneak through a gap there, but it's not going to get too far. And oh dear, Lord's put a shot on there, and it has left him limping.
Yeah, it doesn't look good for Chris Lord. It might be maybe a week on the sideline, possibly, depending on the scans. But yeah, this game, as you said, it's a bit of a drag. Manly, they took the advantage and had that 6-point lead, but the Warriors have come back into this game, and now we're back to that stalemate that we had in the first half of which team can crack the defense.
Yeah, I mean, this time it's not going to be about who cracks first or who cracks second. That might be one, though, as it was Singbeck just had a shot put on him. It meant that the pass didn't go anywhere, and it just spilled loose and was picked up there by Hal Stewart. And now Manly with a big opportunity here. They're in the Warriors' red zone. It's with Brad Goodwin. Sasa into acting half. Kennard Wall quickly there for Reese. It was fairly flat. Called a backward pass at least. Long hold down there on him. The diminutive center having to play in a role he's probably not usually accustomed to, going up against a very large New Zealand pack. Lewis there on the 4th. Is tackled 8 shy. Kennard Wall centering for Hunter. Now for Morrison. Morrison a step. 1, 2, maybe 3. They're going to be able to hold him up. And now, what do you look for here on the last tackle if you're Manly?
It's got to go for the grubber. Keep it on the ball. Keep it on the ground. If you put it in the air, you're going to risk. I mean, you got the chance of a tap back, but you're probably more likely going to be out jumped. The Warriors have proved that they are quite jumpy, the team. So keep it on the ground.
Let's see what they look for here. Kennard Wall does exactly that. It skates down and Singh is there. It took a very convenient bounce for him right into the breadbasket. And oh dear, it ended up just coming right off of MBT. They've said knock on no advantage. Is that not off of a Warriors player?
I think they've got away with one there. I feel like that definitely would have been a Manly ball if they kept the Falcon from the Warriors there, but
I didn't see who knocked it on there from Manly. I'm rather put off by that. Did you catch? Because I knew it ended up with Reese, and that was when the whistle was blown. Did he knock Gava cleanly? Was it someone else?
I think there was contact in the tackle from the Warriors player that may have knocked the ball loose, possibly. But no, we're just saying a 40-20 from the Warriors, so they're on the attack now.
Yeah, but White had his foot on the line, did it not? All right, well, I know exactly what's going on there, and I'm going to have to be silenced. Muzzled even. Here goes NBT now. It was the Warriors that conceded a try for 40-20, and now they're going to get one off Sheridan Oos. But I am left with a very bitter taste in my mouth over those couple of decisions.
Yeah, we said the Warriors score there, but yeah, like you said, the last couple of minutes, you could ask what calls the refs have been making, but we finally have some points in this game in the second half.
Yeah, well, it was a 40-20, but got Manly the points in the previous one, and it ended up being a 40-20, but I'm pretty sure, well, not quite around the same time. It was 18 minutes into the half for Manly and 28 into this one for the Warriors. Still a fair bit of encouragement going on there from the Sea Eagles, trying to make sure that they can put some points back on the board, but they're not going to have many opportunities to do it. Kick down there towards Moana. It's going to be forced back of a tackle here. And it ends up being a fairly simple one at that. Sevu Singh now. Nosing Oh, it's irrelevant. It's a one-score game. We should probably be talking about the action here as much of it as we can. Junior Tyre there. He goes for a scooter. Gets Morrison up there in the tackle. Can they break through here with no fallback? There to cover. He can't through Cadence. And ends up being Tyre. Just flick on to NBT. And now Jalen Saltner. He'll be tackled right on the 40. That's just a few feet or so past it. Tyre now for Kearney. He'll put a kick straight down the ground again. Well fielded there by Brad Goodwin. He tried to take a quick run at the kick chasers, but that's never really going to work out too well. Here's Kennard Wall now looking for Bennett. Bennett traveling his way past his own 30. Ends up being brought down about 15 shy from halfway. Sasser again looks for a scoot. They hold position for a moment and they end up holding well. Here goes Beck Goodwin now. Great little diving tackle there from Jackson Kearney. Ends up getting past halfway here though. Kennard Wall inside of the first receiver. They flick out for Bailey Wilson, but Wilson's not really going anywhere that time. That set a moot one for Manly. They're not going to be able to generate anything off this one, and now they've got to defend again. Hunter now looking for a kick. It was outside the 40 of that time, I can definitively say. Cambola now a step, and Cambolo's free! They finally get one going! He ended up being brought down there by Square Jr. in coverage, but we finally have them putting something on here. Moana now with a little bit of a step to get by Wilson. Slow play the ball again, though, on that Hunter tackle. Tyre looks for Tuiaki. Fires out for Kearney. Through the hands to Saltner. He's going to get into the red zone now, but it's not going to get much else here. 15 shy. They look to Singh, centering it up a bit. Sasser there has to be involved in a tackle, but it's getting no help. And it's some good post-contact drive there from Singh. NBT flicks out to White. White's going to be really close here. It's just like how Hunter crashed over, but that time Bailey Wilson with the help will upturn him, and it'll be the last tackle there. But all of this video review time is also going to waste precious seconds.
Yeah, getting around the legs there, definitely a try-saving tackle. They definitely can't have the Warriors score here if Manly wants to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, they might even just elect for the one-pointer here to put themselves up 7. Kearney, it almost looked like he was going for that. Instead, he's put the high ball up. Moana's been able to take it clean, but Sasser is there to make the tackle, and with about 6:46 left, well, exactly that much, it's going to be about 400 seconds for Manly to try and launch the comeback. Sasser now launches himself out of acting half, and he gets a little bit of his head for clear before he's brought down there by Saltner. Beck going into acting half. Now Jesse Bennett takes the run. Do they look for the 40-20 option here? They will need probably something a little bit shallow if they want to try and make sure that it works with their field position. Reese has done pretty much exactly that. Where do the kickers set up? It looks like they're maintaining their line. No, now they kind of jink around here. They're not going to look for it, though. It's Hunter to Morrison, and now for Square Jr. They try and get him loose, but there's not going to be much going on there. But there's a chance maybe on the wing, because Tuiaki is up. How much ground could Damian Moana cover? It's Bennett with the kick. It's Tuiaki running all the way back there. And he ended up running way too far back. Moana's still able to field it, though, but with less than 5 minutes to go, the Warriors looking the stronger of the outfit so far. Aaron White quickly flicked on there for NBT. NBT brought down. A strong tackle there, one-on-one from Bailey Wilson. Aaron White there, short ball there for Saltner. Not going to get much out of that one, though. They look for the 40-20 of their own to try and put themselves up 2 scores here, the Warriors. Kearney looking to force his way forward. If it's pretty much out of position of the 40-20 now, though. Now it'll be Tyre looking for NBT, and then Oos. He's been strong so far, and he gets it to the Manly 40. They're just going to look to pin them as deep as they possibly can here with the Aaron White kick. It ends up being about 9 out. The Marcus Square is able to take it. His kick chase is absolutely shut down there. I believe it was actually from Cambolo, but either way, still a strong showing here thus far from this Warriors defense. They've only conceded off a 40-20. And James Reese now, he'll get an opportunity to motor his way forward, and he's tackled about on the 30. Now Hal Stewart, This is another 40-20 position. It's the only way they've been able to manufacture points here, the Sea Eagles. Do they look for it again? They might just do so with Kennard Wall. It's a pretty good kick here. Moana's got good wheels, though, and he gets over well. He puts on a step 2 to get past Brad Goodwin, and it means he can cut his way infield and not be forced over the sideline into a potential mistake. Probably one last roll of the dice here for Manly, so the Warriors will just try and get as many meters as they possibly can, or maybe just put up a one-pointer, but why even risk that? Why? Well, I mean, you probably risk that anyway, because it will mean a 7-tackle set, but it would at least make them start at their own 20. Where do they look to now? It's just gone to Sheridan Oos. He's been strong after swapping into that second rower position. About a minute left here for Manly to try and at least hold them off to make it 6 points. Seems like that'll be the case. NBT brought down about 3 in from the 40, so 37 out from the line. White will just have to put a kick up. Can they shut down the kick chase? They can. It was well done there. Believe that was from Cadence George Slattery there that got the tackle done. And this should be curtains for us. They're just going to look for one last miracle play. Sassa's not going to do it. Siren sounds. The Warriors have ended up taking this one in a match they probably deserve to win, but one that they've won under what has to be a cloud here, I would say.
Yeah, there's going to be a few questions over that win, but, you know, they still get the win. That's 2 points that the Warriors get to take home from this game. And, you know, they probably are the better team on paper for that as we go through the stats.
Yeah, well, I mean, just on the earlier play, they probably would have gone for a one-pointer rather than going for 6 when they were down in Manly's red zone, which probably means they still win. But what's created that scenario? We'll have to look at that again, and you know, there'll definitely be some discourse and discussions on the panel shows regarding that. I mean, look at this, you see Manly had to work more in defense, made more errors, definitely had less possession, and also were not winning that field position battle. It ended up being Sheridan Oos's try that ends up being the difference. As well, Manly, they had the first half lead. You're thinking, oh, it might just end up finishing out 6-0, but the Warriors, they rallied, they came back, they got their try, and they got the winner in the end. Take a look at the Warriors statistics here. You see 164 for Moana, 120 for Tyre on however many scoots he needed to take. I think Aaron White, their team leader there, 179. Of course, he did have that 40-20, but ended up setting up that game winner. Of course, we will have to double check that one as well because his foot was rather close to that line. Yeah, but eventually they did have a fair few cross 100 meters. Chris Lord, Bunter Cambolo, Aaron White, Jackson Kearney. There was a lot of involvement. I do have to give a brief shout out here to Johnny Columbus, who gets a full 80 minutes and gets 1 single meter. What an involvement.
Yeah, he's definitely taken that stance of I'm just a passenger and I'm going to be here to do exactly that. But, you know, he did make 10 tackles. So even though he didn't contribute offensively, he's definitely helped defensively.
Indeed, it's been Aaron Hunter, who was really the man of the hour for them. Of course, he didn't really take much of a kicking role after being kind of essentially the primary kicker previously. Jacob Morrison there, 161 meters, but that one error, that will definitely come back to haunt them, not to mention his run on the last and ended up getting there. But really, no one else on Manly feel like they were gaining that much. You see the halves there, all, well, the spine really topping the century mark, and Hal Stewart combined with Stuart Sasser there, I think that's 122, if my math is right. Oh, no, it was Stuart Sasser, sorry, it was Bailey Wilson there, so that would be 125, and that's around as much as you'd expect given where they've been. Of course, Wilson gets a try assist there because he didn't have that last pass, but really no real offensive standouts other than that there for the Sea Eagles. And Jordan Lewis, 6 missed tackles. Oh, not what you want to see from your captain.
No, and you're correct with the stats. Clearly on paper, at least, you could see where Manly just had that lackluster effort in attack. And you said the 40-20 was the only real opportunity they had to attack. No player really has sort of stood up for them for their team tonight.
Yep, and as a result, Manly end up conceding this one. It could have really been an either way game, but as a result of their transgression, and of course that last 40-20, and everything that came across with it, ends up being one that they will have to rue. Of course, they will be coming back to Brookvale to host the Gold Coast Titans, while for the Warriors, they will remain at home as well, hosting the North Queensland Cowboys. We'll look forward to that next week. But for all of us here from the SRL staff, for Luke Shaw, for our recorder Justin Monkey, I've been Lucas Said. Thank you all, and we will see you next time.